Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another match preview. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And tomorrow afternoon, Chelsea are back in action again, looking to bounce back from Wednesday night's humiliation at Anfield, hosting Wolves at Stamford Bridge. The definition of a mid-table clash, 10th versus 11th in the Premier League, and just 2 points separating the two sides. It's going to be a tough game. Yes, we're in better form at the moment, in terms of home form, 10 unbeaten at the Bridge. Wolves' away form is not great. Obviously, they had a disappointing result in midweek, losing 4-3. Definitely acquitted themselves better than we. And I think the most important thing for Chelsea heading into this game, we have to show a reaction. We must react. Simple as that. There has to be a response from the players. Like, there needs to be a level up in performance. There needs to be a level up in application and in attitude, in just absolutely everything across the board. The manager's got to level up. He's got to get a better understanding out of this group. He's got to get more out of these players. He's got to set us up in a better tactical setup. Make sure there's no massive gaps between Enzo and Caicedo in midfield that teams can just walk through and exploit. But this is going to be a tricky game, and we find ourselves in a little bit of a difficult situation in terms of like the progress we kind of had been making in terms of, from the Wolves game. We'd only lost since Wolves on Christmas Eve, we've only lost one game on the in the league, and then obviously we come crashing back down to earth with that Anfield humiliation. Yes, we scraped past Fulham. Yes, we scraped past Crystal Palace with penalties needed to win both of those games, but we were getting points on the board, which is something that we'd found pretty difficult and was pretty hard to come by. But I just feel now there's almost a sense of we shouldn't let Wednesday night, make us feel that we've not made any progress at all. But at the same time, I think it's important to realize that was a reality call and a bit of a wake-up call in terms of, we've been on a slightly decent run, beating teams that we should be beating. But that was a reality check that actually, do you know what? We are still a long way off being a top side and competing at the top end of the Premier League, which is ultimately where we need to be competing and where we want to be competing. I think, look, there's no shame in losing at Anfield, as I said in the match reaction to the Liverpool game. But the biggest problem was the fact that we turned up, didn't apply ourselves, zero application, didn't turn up, second best at everything, spineless performance. Those are things that are unacceptable. But should we really be surprised, given how the team's been put together, given the direction we're going down under this project, that we are getting wildly inconsistent performances with inexperienced and young players? We shouldn't be surprised that this is happening. Doesn't make it acceptable, and there should be better. Like, we should be doing better. But why are we surprised that this is happening when exactly what we're doing is a byproduct of that this is the byproduct of what we're doing, is that you're going to get results like this, you're going to get performances like, you're going to get inconsistency. So from this Wolves game, I just want to see more from everyone, more from the players, more from the manager. We need to see more from the fans, more from the crowds, create a good atmosphere. And what I do want to see, like, again, for me, Pochettino is moaning a lot at the moment about what he hasn't got. It would be easier if we had a 20-goal a season player. Yeah, of course it would. Oh, no, the latest thing, we need a set piece specialist. We don't have one of those, citing James Ward-Prowse at West Ham. Let's try and focus on what we do have. Yes, we need a number 9. We know that, but that can't change now. Let's focus on what we do have, getting players fit. And for me, as the manager, who I don't blame all this on him, but certainly he has to take some responsibility. You haven't improved enough. You haven't improved enough of what we've got at the moment. You look at it and you think, how many of these players have actually improved since you came in? And I'm not saying they should have all improved, at a vast rate of knots, but I would have expected more players to have improved at this point of the season after being here for 6 or 7 months than has currently happened. Let's look at it. Okay, from the start of the season, Gallagher's improved, but he's regressed to type a little bit over the last few weeks. Gusto was at a good level at Lyon, but he's done very well since he's come in, as has Axel Disasi. But in terms of players that have actually improved this season, there's maybe 1 or 2. That is nowhere near enough. I'm not saying that everyone's going to improve at the same rate and it's an easy thing to do, but it should be more than 1 or 2 players that have improved since the start of the season. And we just haven't seen that. And I think that in itself is a big problem. So instead of moaning about what we haven't got, try and focus on what we do have and making that better. I'm not saying it's easy. Yes, there's been a lot of injuries, there's been a lot of upheaval at the club over the last 2 years since this ownership have come in. But at the same time, like what we've got is good. All right, at best, it's probably Europa League, but it's good enough to be winning, enough football matches to be in the top 5 or top 6, I believe. But instead, the manager seems to be moaning about what we don't have, rather than trying to focus and improve on what we do have. Wolves are a tough side. Yes, I said their away form's not as good as their home form at Molineux. They've been on a good run until they lost against Man United. They've got players that can cause problems. Pedro Neto is a top player, will cause issues. He's definitely, I think this will be his last season at Wolves. He's more than capable of being a Champions League caliber player, whether it's in the Premier League or whether it's elsewhere. Mateus Cunha is a decent player as well. I like him. He can cause problems. Ait Nouri, the fullback, is good. In midfield, they're solid. Defensively at the back with Kilman and Dawson is not bad either. They're a solid outfit, and they're definitely the sort of team that if we're not on it and we don't turn up and we're not at it from minute one, then they can absolutely cause us issues. There's no denying that. So we're going to have to be on our game. We're going to have to be bang at it, and we're going to have to make sure we don't make any stupid errors and that we start well. We move the ball quickly. We don't play ourselves into danger and all that sort of thing. But I need to see from the manager tactical setup, tactical fluidity, an actual game plan, people knowing what they need to do, rather than just looking lost on the pitch and kind of lazy and giving up and all that sort of thing. This is exactly what I want to be seeing. Look, ultimately, I want to see a win, but we need to see a cohesive performance following the absolute shambles at Anfield. We need to see something. Look, if it's an unconvincing 1-0, I don't really care. I'll absolutely take it. Of course I will. But I think we need a reaction in terms of result, and we need a reaction in terms of performance as well, because if we turn up, and even if we're half as bad as we were on Wednesday, that's still not going to be enough to get a decent result. Right now at Chelsea, if you look at the Premier League table, going into these fixtures, like obviously Newcastle dropped 2 points today, Brighton won, Villa have won again, Spurs dropped a couple of points, although we're not really competing with them at this point in time. But we win this game, and it's a chance to make up points on teams above us, which time's running out to do that at this point in time. If we look at where we're at right now on this one, Premier League table. Obviously, we're still 10th, but now, look, win tomorrow, and it's a chance to go back above Newcastle, which is good, and go a point behind Brighton, which is also important. We are running out of chances, so we need to win these games. Results have gone favourably for us in terms of Newcastle dropping points. Obviously, Brighton won. Hopefully, West Ham, when they play tomorrow or whenever they're playing, drop points as well. So, look, we're still 10th, but this is a chance that we have to take to start closing the gap, on the teams above us. We simply have to do that. And this is going to require brave team selection. Poch needs to be brave in terms of the team that he selects. There's no point playing it safe. We're at home. We don't need an Enzo, Caicedo, Gallagher midfield. We just do not need that. So I'm in two minds on this one. It's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be tricky. But look, I think we've got what it takes to win. We absolutely do. But in terms of a lineup, I'm just going to bring it up now on the screen. This is for me personally what I would go with. It's definitely time to unleash Christopher Nkunku and Carney Chukwuemeka from the start, in my opinion. Given what's available, Petrovic will obviously continue in goal. He's done very well. Even at Anfield, he was superb. So big him up. Hopefully, he is another good performance. Gusto played a half, so I'd expect him to come in and start. I'd give him 60 minutes or so. We don't want to overuse him again like we did last time and he got injured. So I'd give him an hour. At the back, it's going to be obviously Disasi and Thiago Silva. Obviously, Levi Colwell still unavailable. And Benoit Badiashile just having a horror show at the moment. So, yeah, it is going to be Silva and Disasi at the back there. And then, Ben Chilwell was awful in the week, but he will play at left back as well. So that would be the back four that I would go with, and I'd be shocked if that wasn't the back four come 2:00 tomorrow afternoon. Now, in terms of the midfield too, they've come in for a lot of stick because of their price tags, but actually Enzo and Caicedo, for me, will play again. Caicedo's been a lot better than the media have made him out to be. You know, he's not been as good as perhaps people might have expected, but for the last few months, he's actually done a solid job for Chelsea and has done well. And criticism of him, I think, is grossly unfair. Him and Enzo, you know, they need a good game tomorrow. We need to make sure that Poch sets the team up in a way that we haven't got Caicedo just patrolling midfield on his own here and Enzo taking up positions like playing a fucking false nine like he was in the week. So Enzo and Caicedo in the middle there. I think that this pretty much picks itself, that those sort of first 6-7 players. This is where there are a few decisions to make. Obviously, Nicholas Jackson is now back and available. Christopher Nkunku is back and available now, which is massive. Chukwuemeka also available. This is not a game for Conor Gallagher for me. You don't need him in a game like this. Plus, his form has not been particularly good either, if we're being perfectly honest. So this is what I would go with. I would go with Cole Palmer on the right-hand side. Has to play. Simple as that. Nothing more needs to be said. I'd go with Chukwuemeka in the 10. I think he deserves a chance now. He's getting back to his fitness. You know, he's a top player. I really like him. A massive fan of his. So I'd go Chukwuemeka in the 10. I do not want to see Sterling. I would go, for me personally, I would go with Mykhailo Mudryk on this left-hand side. And people might be like, oh, why do you keep picking him? Why do you keep picking him? He's not doing that well. Let me explain why. I don't want to see Raheem Sterling in a Chelsea shirt because it makes me angry with his inconsistencies and shit performances time after time and constantly getting away with it. Mudryk, for me, is one of those players where I look at it and I think, right, okay, it's clear that starting him and benching him and whatnot doesn't work. This is a guy that needs an arm around the shoulder and to be told, look, you're starting this week. You're starting tomorrow. I don't care if you're shit. You're going to start on Wednesday. If you're bad, then I don't care. You're going to start on Monday against Palace. If you're bad, you're still going to start against City the following weekend. This, for me, is a guy that needs just a run of games. As we've seen, when he had a run of games in December, he was influential. He was having an effect on the game. He was getting assists to scoring goals, and then suddenly he couldn't get into the team. So for me, Mudryk just needs a run of games and an arm around the shoulder. He should have had that when there were injuries. Now it's a little bit more difficult with Madueke's form as well, and players coming back to fitness. But I'd go Mudryk, Chukwuemeka, and Palmer, and then I'd obviously play Christopher Nkunku as the number 9 because, yeah, we need to monitor his fitness, but he played 45 minutes against Liverpool, looked decent. There's no reason why we can't potentially get an hour out of him. Jackson has been training a couple of days. Yes, he's been out of the AFCON, maybe a bit of jet lag and stuff. Maybe he would start. If I was to start Jackson, then I'd just obviously put Nkunku on the left-hand side instead of Mykhailo Mudryk because I really want to see Carney Chukwuemeka play. But this is the team that I would go with. This is the team that I think would give us a very good chance of winning. We need to turn up. The boys need to apply themselves, play the football that we can play. And with the greatest of respect to Wolves, we should be able to turn them over. So for me, I think this is going to be a close game. It's going to be a difficult game. But I would expect us to just about scrape by and make it 11 unbeaten at the Bridge. I'm going to go for a 2-1 narrow Chelsea win. But I'll be brutally honest, I equally wouldn't be surprised if it ended as a 1-1 draw, which doesn't suit either team and would be a major problem for us as well. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the match preview. Make sure you smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I will catch you again in another one soon. Up the Chelsea, and peace out, people.